Welcome to this video on making applications for non-research roles. Here we're going to focus on getting started with CVs. In this video, we'll compare the key features of a non-research CV to an academic CV. We'll differentiate between three core types of CV used in recruitment for non-research roles and when to use each one. We'll talk about using the job ad to inform the selection of your CV format, and we'll start to think about reframing your academic experience for a non-research audience. This video series focuses on how to translate your academic research background when applying for non-research roles and how to present yourself to a new audience. If you'd like some broader advice on creating an effective CV, check out our CV guides through Handshake on our website. You can use CareerSet, our AI tool, to get feedback on your CV. You'll find some general advice in the Get Recruitment Ready playlist here on YouTube. And if you're looking at jobs globally, check out Going Global for CV conventions in different countries. How does a CV for non-research roles differ to the academic CV that you might be familiar with? Pause the video to take a look at these statements and we'll refer back to them to find out which ones are true and which ones are false at the end of the video. There's no one correct CV template to use when you're translating your academic skills and experience for a role outside of research. You could use one of three different CV formats. The first is the skills CV. This organises a wide range of experience and activities under headings related to the skills required by the job you're applying to. This is most commonly used where you haven't got relevant experience for the job, but you have a range of activities and experiences that demonstrate your potential through your transferable skills. The second type is the experience CV. This is the more traditional format where the focus is on your experience in reverse chronological order, starting with the most recent going backwards. There is flexibility in how you group your experiences. So for example, if you've got a lot of relevant experience that could be from paid or formal work experience, volunteer roles or other activities, you could group this together under a heading like relevant experience or policy experience. And then you can group your other activity that's less relevant, for example, as additional and other experience. So there's still some flexibility within this format of CV. Some people choose to use a hybrid of both the skills and experience CV. A hybrid CV is especially useful where you have some relevant experience that you really want to highlight in your CV, alongside using skills headings to explicitly demonstrate the transferable skills you developed through a range of activities and experiences. There are common features amongst all three of these types of CV. The first is that your CV should be no more than 2 sides of A4, and clear headings should be used to signpost to the key content. The language that you use to articulate your skills and experience should be active, impactful, and relevant to the job. Technical and academic language should be used sparingly. On the screen now is an example of an experience-based CV. All of these can be found in our PhD and postdoc CV guide if you'd like to take a closer look. Here, a personal statement has been used to articulate the data experience that Andrew has and to introduce some highlights from the CV. Andrew has divided their experience into 3 sections rather than keeping it all in one experience section. This creative approach helps to highlight the relevance of different experiences. The focus of the PhD and postdoc research is on impact and relevant data skills rather than a detailed overview of the research itself. And you can see that the other education section is brief and focused, while additional experience is outcomes focused. You can also see that the list of publications is kept quite small and brief. Here is an example of a skills CV. And you can see that Caroline has a broad range of different experience that has been categorised against key skills for the role. While some experience may cover more than one skill, Caroline has chosen to put it under the skill heading it most strongly links to and focus each bullet point on providing the evidence for that skill. This approach helps to demonstrate the relevance of varied experience to an employer. There's no detail on publications or teaching, but they are used as evidence under the skills sections. The detail in the academic experience might be relevant here, as think tanks are often engaged in research, so there is a need to demonstrate success in this via awards and funding, but you could reduce this depending on the relevance to the job, as it is quite a long education section. And here we have an example of a hybrid CV. Here, Kate has put the experience relevant to publishing right at the top of the CV, so it's not buried amongst other activity and is easy to find by the employer. The education section is focused on relevant skills from the PhD, like evaluating journals and monographs, managing relationships, and organisation and time management, rather than detail about the research itself. The employment section is fairly brief, as the content here is less relevant to the role that Kate is applying to. And finally, we can see the skills section is clearly linked to the job ad. There's lots of active and accessible language, and a range of activities have been used to evidence the skills required. There's no detail on publications, although this is referred to in the publishing experience section. If you're not sure which of the 3 types of CV to use, this decision tree can really help you to work out which one might be most appropriate. So, if you have relevant experience to evidence the job requirements, whether this is paid formal experience or developed through other activities, and the duties and achievements of those roles evidence the job requirements, an experienced CV may be the best approach to take. If you've got relevant experience, but it's more around the transferable skills that evidence the job requirements, then a skills or hybrid CV may be better suited. If you don't have any directly relevant experience, but you've got a lot of other activities to evidence the job requirements, then a skills-based CV is probably the type that you're looking to use. And if you've got some relevant experience alongside other activities that evidence the job requirements, then it's likely that a hybrid CV will be the approach that best suits you. Now you've chosen your CV format, it's time to consider how you want to present your skills and experience within this. First of all, select your headings carefully. You don't have to use generic work experience, education and volunteering headings. You can actually be a bit more specific and say things like consulting experience, commercial experience, or charity experience, which signpost to the employer that you have what they're looking for. If you're using a skills or hybrid CV, consider which skills headings you need to use and consider whether you need to mirror the language in the job ad. Review your bucket CV and decide which experiences, activities and evidence you want to group under each heading. Think about what goes together and what works best. And then prioritise your content. Don't try to cover everything you did. Try to identify the points that are most relevant to the criteria. What do you need to tell the employer about the activity and experience that you've identified under the heading? So let's revisit this list of true or false statements from the beginning of the video. What do you think now? You will have noticed that the length of a CV for non-research roles is more limited than when you're putting together your academic CV. You'll often be limited to 2 sides of A4 in most cases, although some employers may ask for a 1-pager. A personal statement can help to signpost an employer to key skills and experience, but save more detailed motivational content for the cover letter. A statement on a CV should only be a couple of lines to draw the reader in. It's unlikely you'll need to give much detail about the specifics of your academic research. That doesn't mean it's not useful evidence of a wide range of valuable transferable skills. But keep the detail relevant to the job that you're applying for. Full details of publications, funding and conferences are generally not necessary when you're applying for jobs outside of research, but you can refer to them as evidence of impact or how you've used key written and verbal communication skills. You should absolutely use a variety of experiences and activities to demonstrate your transferable skills. You'll have gained a lot from academic research, but you can include extracurriculars, academic service, additional responsibilities, volunteering, teaching or conferences, and much more to give a variety of examples. And remember, there's no one correct CV format. The traditional format is useful if you have relevant experience. But if you need to highlight different experiences and activities to evidence your suitability for a new role, a skills or hybrid format may enable you to do this more effectively. And even if you do use an experience-based CV, there's flexibility around how you group your experiences to showcase the most relevant. And it's absolutely true that technical and academic language should be used sparingly. Articulate your experience in language that's appealing to the employers. Make it clear what role you played and how you demonstrated the skills they're looking for by mirroring the language in the job ad and using active verbs. Thank you for listening to this video on preparing your CV for applications outside of research. Check the video description below for any resources that have been mentioned in this video, and good luck!